Alright, hello people. We are now live. Gonna do a quick check of my things and then we will get rolling. And a couple announcements. And then yes, lots of posing in ZBrush today. That is the main work of what I will be doing. Alright, looks good, sounds good. Let me know if anything is funny on your end and I'll check it out. Alright, so first things first, I just want to talk about, I launched a new Patreon. So my original one is just for, well, the focus was like 3D printing models and all that kind of goodness. It's still going to be there, it's still doing great. I also had a couple tiers that were about teaching 3D modeling and stuff. And now I have over like 100 students and it was beginning to be a lot to like, I wanted to post about art related things, but I know that a lot of the people that are on that Patreon just want 3D models and they don't necessarily care about what tablet I'm using. So that's what I made this for. Two different options, self-guided, all of my resources without me telling you or advising you what to do. And then more expensive option where I'm actually really like hands-on whatever you're doing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you go to the About section, you can kind of find out like what I recommend, what you need, and more details about it. So that's pretty much it. Link in the description. And anything else? I don't think so. So let's get rolling. Boop. On to what we are actually doing today. So first thing I'm going to do is trying to pose her. I just love this character so much, so I'm excited about that. I haven't got as much done in the last few days as I would hope to, because one, yesterday really just went to me playing with ZBrush 2021, and the day before that, why didn't I do anything? I can't remember. There was a reason. Anyway, so I'm a little behind, and especially motivated to live stream today. Let me get my music playing in the background as well. There we go. Alright. We are all set. Hope you guys have been doing well. I see Klutz here. Hello, sculptors. Alright. If you guys have played with ZBrush 2021, there is a fabric sim. And it's really, really cool if you're working with dynamic subdiv. I've noticed that if you use it on anything else, it kind of works stupid. I can show you guys right now, like the boots right here. Oh, it's really, really high mesh. Let's find something that isn't so high mesh. Maybe just these knives. Of course, this actually did a decent job. I try and stop this. So you have to turn on collision volumes, otherwise nothing happens. Here we go. So that's kind of what it's been doing to everything that I throw at it. It squishes it into nothing and gives me a lot of these really, really ugly shapes and stuff. I can kind of fix it by going to transpose cloth and then doing it manually. I have a little more control over it. But from what I've noticed, it's very sensitive. Like gravity is kind of how fast it's being affected. Firmness is like the thickness of the cloth pretty much. And then strength is exactly what it sounds like. It does a great job though when you're just working with like planes. But if you have something with like dense topology or messy topology, it's going to struggle a lot, which makes sense. So in other words, I wasn't really able to use it on any of the models that I have right now because I didn't design them with that in mind. But moving forward, I think it's going to be super helpful and super amazing. I actually will do a really quick demo on how cool it looks when you're actually using it the way that's meant to be. I'll grab a plane. Let me go to my right transpose. Throw it up here. I've actually never used dynamic subdivision before because I didn't understand how it worked. I did it once and it's giving you a preview of what it is. It's not actually there, for lack of a better wording. And when I tried to apply it, it ruined everything. And I got mad, so I never used it again. I was like, whatever. But no, it's actually really cool. So go to dynamic subdiv, turn on dynamic. I want to give this some thickness, otherwise it's not going to work. So there we go. And then, so it's not, again, it's not really there. It's just showing you a preview of how it's interacting. Once you click apply, then it's actual geometry. But I can do a lot of cool stuff with it. And with dynamics, it really works amazingly. So I have collision volume on. Let's see if I run sim. It should work right away. Yep, it did. Look how cool this is. And it just works beautifully. Again, this is really nicely divided quad, so it makes sense that it actually understands like how to use it. It's not going to work well with my like really roughly Dynamesh stuff. So there we go. Very magical, very amazing. I'll be using it later. For now, obviously, I don't need that. All right, so back to my main goal today, which is to pose this. I think that's, yeah, that has subdivision levels, which is good. I'm just kind of going through here and checking what does and doesn't, and then we're hiding things that are not going to be affected by the pose, such as her bow and arrow. I'm going to hide that because that will just make this needlessly complicated. I'm going to take her belt and merge down the little snare trap that I made and the daggers. I'm actually going to export that little snare trap too because I might want to use it for another model at some point. So to do that, I'm just going to decimate this so it's smaller. There we go. I'm here to put a question mark, but I don't know what towards. If it was for enjoying 2021, yes, definitely. I've actually been doing a better job at remembering to save all my little assets. Alright, go ahead and merge these down. Her hat can merge to her head because it's not really going to move separately. Alright. I'm trying to think of how easy this will be to pose with the belt. I think I'm going to keep it because I plan to put her hand like on this. So the only thing I'm actually removing is the bow and arrow on her back. Alright, this has a lot of points on it and I will be moving this around, so this is definitely worth ZBrushing. There we go, have that ZBrush. And then here it says, as for why the cloth goes crazy, it has to do with the fact that the collision is inflated. So it's instantly colliding with the collision mesh. It takes getting used to. Okay. No, I did that with 0 thickness though, before. Like just something I extracted in ZBrush and it kind of worked goofy for that too. But yeah, if you have any more tips about that, I'd definitely be open. Alright, this is getting much easier to handle. This was like over 1,000,000 points initially. Yeah, that will work just fine. So go ahead and divide this a few times. $300,000 points should be enough, and then I will go ahead and show this mesh over it and then project my details back onto it. And this will help me a lot when I'm posing it. Otherwise, trying to deform something that has 1,000,000 points is just going to take forever. Projecting poly paint as well, and we'll see how good of a job this does. Alright, this is the before, this is the after. It did a really good job. It's a little blurry on the scenes right here, but I can just reproject that independently. This is also one of those points where I'm super grateful for this new computer because reprojecting anything like that used to take minutes and that took like, I don't know, 2 seconds? Pretty awesome. I'm curious why it's doing this. That's fine. I'm gonna divide this one more time. It's gonna give me way too many points, but that's fine. There we go. Everything just looks a lot more crisp. And now I'll delete this one that doesn't have subdivision levels. And now this one can go all the way down to this, which is going to be much, much easier to pose. I think we're all prepped then. These are somewhat high poly, but there's barely any of it showing, so I'm not too worried about that. I am going to move this in a little bit. I just want to make sure that overlaps, because when that's being 3D printed, I don't want there to be a gap right there. There we go. And then when I finish that and have it all die mesh together, that'll work perfect. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and save what I have. I always like to save before I pose, just in case there's something funny with Transpose Master. Also quickly reviewing how many points everything is. Looks good. Alright, Z plugin, Transpose Master, Depose Mesh. There we go. So I meant to hide this, but I forgot, so I'll just get rid of it right there. Alright, let me pull up my references too. I plan to have her like leaning on a rock with one foot. And then Mihir clarified, he said, I'm not talking about the thickness of the subtool, which are calculated in simulation, but the other subtools that are used to create collision volume. Gotcha. I plan to have her leaning pretty far forward, so I'm trying to remember to really have this leg point out. So I plan for a pretty big rock. I think that should be good enough. Her knee is right there, pretty much under the trim of her boot. Go ahead and blur this as well. Yeah, I might not have put this like high enough still. funny, I used to hate this process so much, and now I find it really relaxing. There we go, that looks better. I just need to have this a little more like a right angle. This looks a little funny right here, but I can just resculpt that. Oh yeah, I totally forgot to put the little camera in here and stuff. Hello. Totally forgot about that. And then here gave more details. In the panel with collision volume, you'll notice that the inflate set to 1 by default, so just find stuff on subtools already next to them. And then someone else is here. Hello, how's everyone doing? Pretty good. Let's see. I thought that inflate isn't turned on by default because I get to click on it for it to be active. But I'm definitely like, thanks for the information. Oh, right here, duh. Inflate, right there. Thank you. I'll play with that next time. Alright, so I need to sculpt some more wrinkles across her knee right here, but I'll wait for the pose to be a little bit more done before I do that. I'm also going to raise her leg just a little bit more. It also feels weird to do this without the rock. I could have included that. Clete says definitely, now looks she's putting more weight on that leg, right? I totally agree. Alright, and then Maniac's also here. Hello. Yeah, I've tried to do a better job with like, obviously my pose in general, but also like when I'm doing the posing process, not to like, when to know when to move on. Like for example, I'm probably gonna move around this leg still a little bit, but it's like, it's 70% of the way there. I'm gonna do all the fine tuning later. I kind of got in this bad habit of like trying to like finish the pose, like perfectly posing her arm the first time. Obviously your body moves together, so working on all of it little bits at a time, I noticed did the best for me. I really wish that I didn't keep this by accident. There we go. Just required a little bit of creative clicking. There we go. I always like to have my characters kind of looking at the camera. I imagine her to be kind of like a proud character, so I want to lift her chin a little bit up too. And then Clute recommend making her lean forward a little bit. Oh, totally, 100%. If she's this stiff, she's got to be leaning forward or backwards. I would think forward, because I did this pose, like, practicing, like, except I was stepping on my couch. I have a pretty low couch. And yeah, it felt right to lean forward a little bit. Yeah, I think I'll do that now actually, and then I'll worry about, because I had planned to have this hand be grabbing her little snare trap right here too. And then I'll actually hide the belt for right now because I don't want that to deform weirdly, and I'll just put that on after I've moved her around a little bit more. Alright, let's lean her forward. Is this the right... I'll make sure rotate's turned on. There we go. It's acting a little weird. Oh, that's why. It's on her arm. I'm gonna say I'm like, this isn't pivoting the way it's supposed to. Alright, there we go. Let's try again. That's better. Let's try putting it on her back instead. I really want it to be like centered, but for some reason it's really staying too close. Nah, it's fine. There we go, and then doing it again closer to her waist and her rib cage. Alright, I don't want her to be too much far forward than that. Her arms straight out, just looks so ridiculous. Posing's fun. I bring her arm in just a little bit, and then I will bend at the elbow. I think that's bent close enough. I guess we'll find out. If it's not, I can just go back. I found with bending elbows and stuff, it's better to not have your mask super blurred, otherwise it completely like destroys that bone. And I'll worry about actually posing her hand once I'm at a transpose master. Grab my move brush, pull this down. Still need to reconstruct her elbow a little bit. That looks a bit better. I just forget how pointy our elbows are. I always make this like really rounded. It just looks ridiculous. Oh, there's been a lot of chat. Let me look through this for a second. Vikings here, hello. More comments on the pose. I'll work on it. Maniac says, when scaling an already supported model, do your support scale or do you have to re-support the model? It depends how big you're going. If you're going smaller, that's always iffy. But if you're going bigger, it tends to work out just fine. Within 20%. If you want to like double the model size, maybe not. But I've had people print my elementals at like 200% scale. I went great. So depends on the model, I guess. Me here is giving more good information, and then mentioned Marvel's Designer, for example, goes crazy with tight clothing and doesn't know what to do with it. Yeah, so I actually downloaded Marvel's Designer just a demo, just kind of try it out. I noticed that too. All right, and then I don't know how to. I don't want to just call you 69. Let's see, Co. I'll call you Co. How about that? I've been learning to sculpt for like 2 weeks now, and I'm mainly focusing on faces and shapes. But I feel like I can learn a lot faster. What's the best way to learn sculpting? Let's see, what does Clute say? Clute said depends what you plan on doing. Very good. If you want to do a bunch of minis and don't really care about models that has your own style, then modeling base meshes is the way to go. As far as like how to learn the fastest, I would say just like trying to move through projects as quickly as you can. because if you obsess on the same thing, like the same like eyelid for like an hour, you're just wasting a lot of time. So I would like try to sculpt a head a day, for example. And for a day, I don't mean 8 hours a day. I mean like 30 minutes a day. Keep trying to practice the same thing. I do offer a mentorship if you wanted like direct advice. It's in the description. I have a whole like thing. I teach a bunch of students. Obviously, I need to know like what your goals are and how much you already know, all that kind of stuff, and I can really direct you. I have a bunch of like assignments that bring you up from like navigation to how brushes work to eventually like blocking out characters and creatures and stuff. It all builds on each other. So if you don't have a really good understanding of the brushes and how they work, maybe try to play around with those first, because it's kind of like trying to build a house, but you're not totally sure how a hammer works. You can intuit, okay, generally speaking, what you can use a hammer for, but like there might be more uses for it than you think. That kind of thing. Yeah, but here, sculpt, analyze, repeat. Exactly. And that's why I recommend not obsessing on the same project for a long time, because you want to restart that cycle as much as possible of being able to analyze what's wrong with it. Okay, cool. Instead of like trying to fix it, sometimes it's harder to resculpt a model that already has a lot of problems. Just start again, but be aware of the mistakes you made before and try not to make them as much as you can. And include ads. If you want to learn sculpting, focus on a piece of anatomy during each session. Also good information. For example, I need to look at elbows more. I'm like, where does this go? I know it's not there. I know it's not there, but I'm like, ah. That actually looks semi-decent. It's fine. I just hate elbows. Because I can get it looking right from like one. It's kind of like lips. I can get it looking right from 2 to 3 angles, but there's always one angle where it looks ridiculous. That's okay. Alright, so there'd be a little bit of overlap right here, so I'm going to try and add that, because I noticed that looks a little funny. That looks better. And just because since I sculpt with like that A-frame pose, I'll have like weird gaps between the arms and the armpits. Alright, let's bring this arm closer as well. I plan to have this arm like resting on this leg, but I kind of like it behind her. Alright, that shoulder is too big. Be a little more slanted like that. There we go. It'll also be a little more far forward, I think. Let's bring your shoulder blade in. There we go. That's better. This leg being perfectly untouched, I feel like really stands out, and even though it kind of works with the pose, and I just need to move it around. I need to do something with it. Also, it's time, since I accidentally didn't hide this beforehand, might as well pose this now. And I'll probably add a strap once I go back to sculpting, but I might not. I think it gets the point across just fine without it. This leg definitely needs to be farther up. Or higher up. That's better. Maybe have it twist out a bit more too. Much better. Now it's like she's obviously putting a lot more weight there, so I might as well put this leg to the side a bit more too. So I'll turn off perspective because I want to make sure that her foot ends up being flat in the end. That way it actually fits on the base. I'm also going to hide this belt because it's very in the way right now. There we go. Make sure you're going to blur this, especially because this isn't really where it'd pivot from. I'm just trying to do a small adjustment, so that's fine. Alright, and then now I'm going to flatten her foot. There we go. So it's before, it's after. Super small difference, but just to make it so like she's grounded. There we go. This might be a little bit too stretched for me to sculpt wrinkles on too directly, but if I can, I'll just do it now. Yeah, it's a little stretched, but it works okay. I'll clean that up once I'm at Transpose Master. I think I want her to lean forward just a tiny bit more. I'm definitely going to need to move those knives higher up, which that won't be hard to do later. Look at the chat for a second here too. And then, so Coast is a good point. I've heard that planes really help you understand shapes, 100%. Specifically, what helped me a lot was breaking the head down into planes, just because the head's really complicated. We have a lot going on. And then Rudiger, I think I'm saying that right, says, how does anyone know where someone can get basic shapes like cubes and stuff? Most 3D programs just have them built in. Like if I go to Append right here, they're all just right here. Or you can go to Tinkercad or Thingiverse or CG Trader. I'm looking for most basic shapes, but can't find anything really good or usable. And include ask, yeah, what basic version of ZBrush are you using? Yeah, they all have that. At the moment, I'm with Sculptress. Oh, okay, yeah, Sculptress only gives you a sphere. I think they have a cube in there now too. But I think that's it. But yeah, I'd recommend going to either like CG Trader, Tinkercad. You can export basic shapes out of that as well, or Thingiverse. Oh yeah, and then Clute mentioned you can use Blender for free. Oh yeah, I don't know a ton about it, but that would totally work too, and it is free. And yeah, there isn't really any basic shapes in Sculptures other than the sphere, I'm pretty sure. I want to say like there's a plane you can get, but yeah. Make sure that if you're importing for Sculptress, that whatever you're downloading is a .obj format. Otherwise, it won't accept it, I'm pretty sure. Unless you have the GOZ application, but yeah. Okay, thanks. I'll look into it. Yep, you're welcome. Just want to lean her forward just a tiny bit. Alright, I think I can make the base and give her a rock to stand on finally. Let's see how this does. It looks so weird. There we go. Looks so much better with color. Alright. So first things first, I definitely want to move the blades on her hip. Now I use move and backface mask to add thickness wherever I need it to be. This is really important for 3D printing because if you have a bunch of gaps like that or just really thin elements, they'll have holes in them when they print. Also go through here on the back with the inflate brush and just go through with like a low intensity and inflate any spots that got a little weird. There we go, not too bad overall. Kind of a weird spot on her pants as well. Go ahead and fix that up. Also going to turn my smooth intensity a lot higher again. Alright, that looks pretty solid. Something really small, but I do want to add more of like a curl to her hair right here. There you go, just a small detail. I think adding it to her hair right here could be cool too. I'm a big fan of using spiral with the backface mask brush. I'm actually just going to mask her entire hand and make that its own poly group because I know I'm going to be selecting that a lot right now. There we go, so now I can mess with just her hand. So more than anything right now, I'm just trying to make sure that all of her fingers are in contact with the trap at some point, because I don't want to have to support this when I 3D print it. Also going to run over her fingers lightly with the inflate brush. I always do this with my minis. I'm going to raise the top of the rope a little bit. Just again, meet her fingers. And then for her pinky, I will need to just lean it over. Looks like her this nail got really weird in Transpose Master because I had trouble masking this specific piece. I can reconstruct that, or it's not really visible, so it's fine. There we go, so now that will all print without needing supports on it, which is my goal. I'm gonna go over here to this other hand. These will need to be supported, but that's fine. I've never had too many problems with that. Looks like my brush isn't working. There we go, it was just being glitchy. Worked all at once. Alright. Go over this lightly. So that's the before and that's the after, so significantly thicker. Just small adjustments make a big difference. Also going to move her shirt around to fit around her neck better. Just some small adjustments, makes everything look better. Alright, I'm liking this pose a lot. I'll look through the chat for a second because it's been a bit. Y'all are chatty today, I love it. Mahira says, interesting first time I've heard anyone spell out G-O-Z. I've always heard it as Gozy, as in go to ZBrush. That makes sense. Or now people spell it out. I don't know. Gozy makes a lot of sense. So just importing a simple base I have right here. And it's waiting for options to finish, so hanging out for a second. Not sure what it's confused on. Oh, probably because it's an STL. I tried to import like an OBJ, so it's very confused. Please don't crash. There we go. It put up like a little message on my other screen asking to import the STL. I do have a little stack of like rocks that might work well with this. I'm not sure what I would put that under. Probably items. I'll just type in rock and see what comes up. No items. I know I have it somewhere. It's somewhere. Yeah, oh well. I'm laughing because I didn't mask her body, so like her little toe stayed there. Get back in there. No. There we go. There we go. Easy rock. I love this model. She is the coolest. This came out so much better than I was anticipating, because at first I'm just like, it's a trapper, whatever. Wasn't super excited to make this model. There we go. I was having a hard time rotating this to see what it looks like from every angle. Definitely looks pretty off balance at certain points, but I mean that's kind of the point if I want her to be leaning all of her weight on the side. I think I need to make this leg a little more perpendicular. Not by much, but I think that small adjustment will make it so it doesn't look weird from the other angles. Yeah, so before, let's see after. I think that looks much better. Also, scoot the rock over a little bit. There we go. Much better. I keep thinking that this hand is like touching her knee, but it's way back there. I think that really helps to kind of balance her out. From this angle, she really needs that leg farther back. Gasp. Good from the rest of them though. Nah, she doesn't look like she's falling over or whatever. That's something I can note for next time I make a pose like this. I don't think that would be time super well spent to fixate on that right now. And I'll go back and detail this base some other time. But let's get a fun render on this, and then I'll take a break, stretch out my wrists. There we go. She looks very dramatic and very edgy. Love this character. Excellent. This is one of those smells I can tell that, you know, I'm getting better. It always feels good. Mihir says, I can't speak for the rest of the chat, but I'm chatting since it's an absurdly hot day, so I shut down my workstation until night and do my work at night. Oh, I totally understand. I am very nocturnal at this point. I sleep between 5 a.m. and 1 p.m. That's my 8 hours of sleep. I feel it. It's so freaking hot. And yeah, I'm finally talking to my doctor again about my wrist. Because, like, it's not in pain. There's no pain involved. But, like, if I do this with my wrist and this with my wrist, this one just feels tighter. That's the best way I can explain it. I know everyone's immediate thing is, like, it's carpal tunnel. And I'm like, oh my god. Probably early signs of, but, like, it's not now. Like, carpal tunnel has, like, tingling, numbness, pain. There's no localized pain at all. It's, like, almost like where you put a scrunchie kind of thing. It just feels kind of tight. And it's like that all the time. It's so annoying. It doesn't, like, limit my range of motion at all or whatever. I talked to my doctor back in, like, April about it, too. And I'm like, hey, it's still doing it. So, now we're doing something about it. Oh my god, it's so hot in here. I'm going to turn on the AC more. I'll be right back. And I'm back with more AC and cold water. Actually, I already had this. I just forgot about it. So yeah, this is also like the little brace that I use when I work. It's not tight at all. It's just to prevent me from moving my wrist a ton, like back and forth, tiny movements, just restricts it. Otherwise, that's what I do, because I forget about it. So now I'm like forced to use more of my shoulder and arm, which I don't mind at all. I just don't think about it. And unless I have to, I don't do it. Super happy with this. go ahead and save this and open up the next pose for today. So I'm working on a furbog herbalist, and I just think he's the cutest. He's not going to have as interesting of a pose. He's just going to be walking. I thought about it a bunch, and I think just walking is fine. But this is him. He's great. The only really like sculpting I need to do before I get this finished is I'm going to add some thickness to his... Why I can't think of it? Sleeves. To his sleeves. And to like this maple leaf wreath that I made. I'm also going to bulk that up a little bit better too to make sure there's no issues when I'm printing it. Let's see. Mahira says, my workstation trumps my AC, unfortunately. Damn thing uses like 1,000 watts. Yeah, that's a lot of heat. I wish I could turn the AC and problem solve. Try getting a fan maybe, you know? Like just a little like swamp cooler to ice yourself out. Alright. I'm going to get some references for walking pose drawing reference. There we go. A lot of these are of the walking cycle. I'm like, nope, I want the same walking pose from multiple angles. Alright, I think we're good. Alright, so I'm gonna do those things I mentioned. Just pretty much moving back face mask is all it needs. There we go, that's all ready. And for this. There we go. I think we're pretty much set. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and merge things together that I know will move together. Like these and these can all be merged down to the belt. Same with these little pockets I have on his pants. Alright, I have everything polygrouped and the way that I want it to. Not sure what I'm going to do with this cape. I think it's Usually I have capes like super dramatic blowing the wind, but this is like really, really thick fur. I bet most people paint it like moss because it's a fur bog, and that's totally cool. I think I'm just gonna have it like dragging behind him. Like I'll mask up here and then kind of drag it so it's like this. So yeah. This time I'm actually gonna remember to hide it. So I do transfers mask, so I don't have to deal with it. Alright. Go ahead and save this and let's start posing. Mihir says you think how close into the beach should be cooler. Alas, not this summer. Bummer. Mihir says swamp coolers work a lot better in Fresno than OC. I think I forget what that is. I'm thinking Orange County. Unfortunately, we have twice the relative humidity. Oof, that's rough. Yeah. Oh yeah, I meant to make the facial hair a lot thicker, and I forgot about that. I can sculpt that after the fact as well. Okay. Yeah, it's so dry where I live, I just completely forget that there's humidity. I actually don't live in Fresno anymore, but still Central Valley, California, so really dry. Your comment definitely still applies. OC is indeed Orange County. Orange County. Gotcha. Cool. Oops, the last bit of his foot didn't get masked. I know I've asked before, but I just completely forgot. What do you do, like, for a job? I'm sure it's art related because you got your little workstation and stuff. I can't remember if like you work from a studio, but if you're working at home because of like COVID and stuff, or if you're freelance. I feel like you're gonna tell me, and I'm gonna be like, oh, right, duh, totally knew that. As of now, it's not coming to mind at all. I'm just like, yep, he's an artist. That's all that's coming to mind. I want to say studio because you've mentioned like, you've referenced like the animators in your studio and stuff. But again, I imagine you're probably working at home because of COVID and stuff. Trying to figure out how this shoe would like squish in response to his weight being on it. Because I want to show that like there's weight in his heel right here. I think that's about it. It just makes it look super weird. I'm gonna undo that. I'll focus on that more when I'm dealing with the base. I'm also gonna put a slight bend at his knee because this looks weird. Mihir says, I started at a studio and then went indie recently. That's awesome. Do you have anywhere where you show your work yet? I would like to see. And is there a specific reason that you left studio work? And also that's exciting that you're like striking out on your own too. Congrats. And Zax is here. What up? Today is opposing day, so that's pretty much all I've been doing. If you go earlier in the chat, the video, you'll see that the human trapper's been posed, and she looks awesome. So you should go look at that. Oh goodness, why is there two of them? Okay, cool. It was just a document glitch. So right now I was working on lots of really small adjustments, making sure that the arms actually like fit together, trying different places like where I mask from to see if that does a better job. I think masking farther up the shoulder did a better job. So I will note that for the next time. Actually, I haven't done very many poses that are like this, for someone just walking and swinging both arms. I feel like I can't get his arms close enough to his body. They're just like so far away from him because, I don't know, it's big biceps. It's working out though. I feel like adding the belt helped a lot. Because I can kind of make this a little crooked too to show weight. There we go. And then of course, turning his head a little bit too, and just the overall model. Yay, thank you. Super appreciate it. Mostra. I actually kept one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from last time it was in the junk drawer.
Okay,
So I figured
sweet.
one day we might actually use it. And then Maniac said, I didn't know that OG fur bogs used to look like bigger Vikings. Yeah, pretty much. And then they got all naturey and cute. Thank you. How was your trip?
Good. Went downstairs. The neighbor called me into his garage. I talked to him for a while.
Yeah.
And then,
It's just broken, sadly. It's split right in the middle.
turn this block.
I will. Anyway, sorry.
For at least a little bit. And then the Starbucks close to us is closed. So I went to the one next to Walmart, and the line was absurd.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna go into Walmart and just get some spooky stuff then. And then on my way, so I did that. And on the way out, I noticed that there was like no line at Starbucks. So I was like, fuck it. Alright.
That's perfect. I love those refreshers. They're so good.
So yeah, we have tons of stuff for smoothies, so I'll make you a smoothie tonight.
Alright, that'll be awesome. Thank you, honey. The bottom of his shoes look ridiculous. They're so like squishy and not well defined. It's fine. Having a hard time finding like what the best silhouette is, so I'm gonna just turn this black and I'm just gonna start spinning him around and I will see what is the most clear and what to pick. I'm thinking that's the most clear potentially. Saxa says, not many of the old regulars on today. Good to see everyone though. Yeah, there was a lot of new people here. It's kind of cool. I don't know what to do with this stupid arm. I just feel like wherever it is, it looks ridiculous. What if I just put his hand on his belly? That's kind of cute. Yep, he's just making his way. I actually don't mind that. Because you can see like all the mushrooms and the little things right here, and it's clear that he's walking still. But otherwise, like when you're looking at him straight on and like his hand is moving towards you, it just, you know, foreshortening, it just disappears to nothing, and it's killing my silhouette. This is cute. I think it makes him look kind of Santa-like. If I didn't make his belly so gigantic, this wouldn't have worked. Also, his elbow is actually almost correct. Oh my goodness. Finally getting better at it, guys. It's happening. Oh, I hate elbows. See, like from this angle, it looks like trash. But like from this one, that's a pretty good looking elbow. Mahir says, the short answer to why I went indie was to do more art. Huh. That's like a fantastic answer. It's a long, complicated story which is difficult to tell 200 characters at a time. Ah, that's fair. That's fair. I totally forgot you guys have a limit. And Zaxa says, there's only one option. He clearly needs you flipping us the bird. With that smile? No. Mahir says, let's just say that in the studio as mostly tools development and engine programming. Yep, that sounds about right. When people ask me all the time, like, do I want to go to the studio and industry? And I'm like, I wouldn't be able to make what I want. You know? I think I'd learn a lot more and I'd be pushed in ways that would make me a better artist overall. So I definitely think you probably already know this, you're better off having worked in a studio. You have more tools in your tool belt, you know? That's awesome that you're now using that to make your own stuff. I don't know what kind of work you're looking for, but I get people asking to commission me constantly, like at least 3 times a day, and I'm like, no, 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 because they're closed. Like I do 50 bottles a month pretty much at this point, and like I don't have time. Even if I did have time, I would be way too expensive. I get paid on average like $500 per model I make. Like I'm not gonna charge someone that, you know. I'll charge 1,000+ people that, like spread out. That's how Patreon works really well. But anyway, my point being, if you do anything remotely related to this and you want commissions, let me know. I have plenty of people, because when I already tell them no, their follow-up email is always, who can you recommend? And I usually don't respond, because I just don't. Okay, doing fun. Hey. No, I like this. I think he's cute. Now I'm looking at his hair and I'm like, he has like furball Fonzie hair. If the Fonz was a furball. I guess I didn't ask me here, but like now that you're freelance, like what specific like kind of freelance? I know some people just go through like Fiverr, or they do like specific independent contracts for companies. Like I used to do some stuff kind of like that, to where like I was freelance, but I was working for a company indirectly that was producing their own lines of minis and stuff. I kind of recommend those contracts. I kind of don't at the same time. Mainly because they always sound like they know what they want, and then you make said thing, and they're like, you know what, I actually wanted this. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm going to charge you for that, though. Oh, he's so cute. He needs a better smile, though. He has, like, a kind of non-committal smile. Let's make you slightly happier. There. Adorable. And then he needs, like, if he's so smiley, he needs more wrinkles. Get some laugh lines in there. All this stuff that won't show up on a print, I don't care, because it's for me. And there's always that, like, one person out of 100 that prints my stuff like this tall, and I'm like, yes, you are seeing all the detail that I did. I always love, because like there's so much with like my students, and that want to like be their own mini makers and stuff, and they send me models to critique, and that's usually my biggest critique, where I'm like, why are you wasting your time? And it's so funny because I do it too. There are some printers out there actually that do a really good job. Like I saw someone printed my stuff on like a, what was it? It wasn't the Formlabs. Or it might have been. Something that had great resolution. I can't remember what the hell it was. It wasn't like a Mars or a Photon. Those have the same resolution. But anyway, like it looked fantastic. You really could see everything. And I'm like, this is great. His eyes look like he's in pain, kind of. Maybe because he doesn't have any pupils, you know what I mean? Like, that's... Yeah, if he had, like, pupils, I think he'd look fine. But yeah, doing the wrinkles on his face, I definitely think improved it. He has one forehead roll. Just one. I think that looks bad. But I don't think it's worth fixing, because it's not terrible. And... yeah. These all need to be bigger. I'm looking at the little vine leaves on this. I'm just gonna inflate the crap out of them. There we go. Oh, he's so cute. I love this model. I know I've been saying that a lot about my recent work, but that's because I actually really like it. I'm at a point now where like I generally don't produce any crap. Like, you know, early on you're making new models and every third model looks like absolutely terrible alien monster. They all look like things, and I love that. Alright, let's get his cape on him, some color. This has been productive and awesome. And this also took me way less long than the human trapper. Alright. Here says, when I say indie, I mean I joined an indie studio. Ha! Oops. Right. Indie doesn't mean freelance. I don't know why I thought that. Anyway, I brought my technical expertise as someone who worked with Sony so they could get a dev license for PS4 and Xbox and Nintendo. I agreed to mentor and help set up their tech team and agreed to let them focus on character models and animation. I don't have time for commissions, unfortunately. That makes total sense. And like, so you brought technical expertise to someone who worked with Sony so they could get a dev license for PS4, Xbox, and Nintendo. You're obviously like super professional. I want to see your work. Because like, I don't know. I just feel like you're probably awesome. I'm always like hoarding a list of all the artists I like super like and keeping track of them and stuff. So yeah. It's fine if you ask me names, like a lot of them aren't English. A lot of them are Russian or Polish. And Polish especially, I can't pronounce their names. I know one is Maria Panaflova. She has a pretty normal name. She's amazing. I'm sure you know of her. Everyone knows of her. But yeah. Damn, he is so cute. Alright, let's get this cape on him. He really needs it. I feel like my character model design has gotten so much better recently. Like, I only have things that really improve the model. I don't have a lot of, like... I mean, I mentioned, like, the pointless detail that you can't see, but I mean, like, as far as, like, assets and pieces of the model. I think I'm doing a lot better of just making stuff that has a purpose. Alright, so he takes up a decent amount of space, but he should fit on the base just fine. I'm also going to repaint this manually really quick, because it's small, but it would bother me. There we go. Also some weird business going on here. Just need to inflate this. I don't want any gaps and holes right here. It doesn't need to make sense. It just needs to not be a gap. There we go. That's better. I must have grabbed a curved brush at some point. Let's fix that. He looks so friendly and cute. Ah. This is the kind of person you want to stumble across when you're lost in the forest. Oh right, I was going to fix his facial hair because it's okay. It's not great. I put it in there as like a placeholder and then I forgot about it, so it became a lot more than a placeholder. It just needs to be thicker. Kind of like his hair. I think his hair is like the coolest. It's not my usual way of doing things, but I think it came out nicely. Doesn't really look a ton different. It's just a lot more scraggly looking, which is what I wanted. Now I'll leave his eyebrows alone. Alright, this one spot on his chin looks weird. I will fix that. It's funny, like redoing his facial hair, I think it like looks worse, kind of, but like in a good way, because like I wanted it to look more scraggly like this instead of like this perfectly fine, close shave kind of thing. This brush is acting really weird on this one spot. Hi. It's better. It's a much better texture. Looks much better unpainted too. Because before I did that, when I turned off poly paint, it pretty much disappeared. Alright, I really should have this touching his back, because I don't want to paint that. Not that I paint my models anymore. I kind of used to. I don't anymore. Especially because I started poly painting my models in ZBrush, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so much harder to paint in real life. In a way, it's more satisfying too, but eh. Oh, he's adorable. Alright. And then here says NDA makes it difficult. Oh yeah, I remember even like just doing some project work when I was in school, the companies we worked with, we couldn't talk about anything. Once I get out of NDA, I upload a bunch of stuff, which thanks to COVID, the launch got delayed end of the year, which makes me unable to upload anything I did at work. That sucks. It sounds like you work really hard and that you're really busy, so I doubt you have a lot of personal work you could upload either, because you work. Super happy the way this model came out. Alright. Been live streaming for an hour 45. So I finished another model. It's probably a good time to take another little break. Stretch up my hand again. After this, I don't know, I'm trying to think if I'm going to work on another model right now or not. Usually I try not to work for longer than 2 hours at a time because, again, my wrist has problems. I don't know what the problem is, but I just don't want to screw it up by accident. That would be a bummer. I almost kind of wish it was like clear, like pain, like there was an issue, like when I did something. But it's not, it's just kind of like slightly tight. Whatever. That's why I'm talking to my doctor tomorrow. Yeah. So yeah, I'll probably call this good, this live stream, and end up working way later in the middle of the night when it's not so hot. I mean, live stream at 6, and you think it'd cool down. Anyway, I will be live streaming again tomorrow at 5 or 6, and yeah, probably doing even more posing because I just have like 8 models I pretty much finished and then was like, I don't want to pose this, so I started another model. I did that for like a week, so many have piled up. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching these two being posed. I'm very excited I can pose a model well in an hour finally. It used to take me like 3. Some of you guys have been around for what used to take me 3 hours to poorly pose a model. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining. Bye-bye.